Liz Green, one-on-one.
BBC Radio Leeds.
You're welcome. This is One-on-One, an hour in conversation with some remarkable people from this county. They come here, they tell their story, and they choose their favourite music. Now, this afternoon, a woman who says she has got an extraordinary gift. She's a psychic medium, and her work has been prolific and high profile. She's worked with ordinary people, many of whom are in search of comfort. She's worked with celebrities, and indeed, she has a remarkable track record working with big business, all done very discreetly, but with some spectacular results. And to those to whom she says that she's helped, they speak in awe of her accuracy and her ability to see what's coming. She's been on television, she's been on radio, she was at one point a columnist with Heat magazine. And this is a remarkable story of highs and lows. Getting through the tragic loss of both parents, she almost lost her own life through illness not very long ago, and she had to continue through grief while helping other people. Now look, you can make your own mind up. This is one heck of a journey. Welcome, Julie Cryer.
Thank you very much, Liz. Thanks for having me here.
I've wanted to have you on One-on-One for ages, and I was so glad when you finally agreed, because you're a little bit like an urban myth. That people, you say the name.
Legend in my life.
Yeah. Julie Cryer, and they go, oh, Julie Cryer. Yeah. And yet, never really make a big noise about what you do, never sort of shimmy up and down, proclaiming it from the rooftops. It's like your little quiet tour de force, if we accept what you say is true in your gift.
I think a lot of it's to do with the fact that, you know, my gift is something I've got. I've had it from birth and I'm very proud of it. But I have a life. I have a life away from that. And I think to have both together, you've got to be fairly low-key or discreet in, you know, in the area of being a medium, because a lot of people obviously have chosen to go on TV. I was offered TV, BBC a lot of years ago, my own show. I was on Judy and Richard a long time ago. They were talking about me being on there as a psychic agony aunt. You know, that's wonderful, and I understand why people do it. But the problem is then you don't have any privacy. You can't do readings with the discretion you want to do, and particularly if you do famous people, because everybody wants you to say who you've done. And they want you to talk about it in great detail.
And you have done, in inverted commas, a lot, haven't you?
I would say probably, naturally, where they've approached me rather than it been through a contrived, again, TV programme, I've probably done more celebrities than anybody I've, you know, come across, as far as I'm aware. And the ones I've done, I've been quite, my breath's been took away sometimes by being in the room with them. And who I also contacted, did Larry Grayson, and Larry was adorable and came to my house in Ollerton Bywater near Castleford and walked down the drive like shut that door to the music. But the biggest thing was I contacted Frankie Howard, Tony Hancock, who was iconic when I was growing up. These were his friends. These were people that he'd been in showbiz with. You know, the joy I've had of contact. I've contacted John Lennon in the past through somebody I did a reading.
And how was he?
It was just, for me, again, quite breathtaking. Very normal reading. In a way, no different to someone else coming from, say, Leeds to say, you know, I want to contact my brother or my friend or my cousin. But for me, it's a little bit different because I am aware of who these people are. And growing up in certain times when they've been famous, the ones that's passed over, I mean, it's also quite a mind-blowing experience, really.
When I see you, you have a love of Northern Soul.
Definitely, yeah. Passion,
which, huge passion to your life. You've been very happily married since 1979. You're a mum. There are two Julies.
Definitely.
There is the woman and the girl who just lives a life like I do.
Yeah.
And then you say a world that puts you into almost the supernatural.
Yeah, definitely.
So look, let's get, how do you define what you say is your gift? What is this? What are we talking about?
The gift I have is what people now, you know, the term is mediumship, which means I communicate with people that's died, the spirit world. There's all different terminology for it, you know, the afterlife. And there's been some very interesting films, you know, in Hollywood recently on the afterlife that I find is starting to touch on it, like Sci-Fi did many years ago about going to the moon and all sorts of interesting things, time travel and everything. But I communicate with people that's died. I know I do, because I know by readings the things I say are not general. It isn't, I've got a heart condition, there's a John. It's very detailed, sometimes too graphic. Even I feel that. Very personal. I've outed quite a few people on readings many years ago, and it's been quite a shock that I've known things like, you know, that they were gay or other situations that are quite controversial for them. And that proves that I'm talking to the people that I'm talking to, because the information's far too detailed. Psychic means that I actually have a vision Again, people call it third eye, but I have a vision that means I see things that other people don't see, and particularly the future. And I think before I stepped down from doing readings in 2004, my name became bigger, greater for the forecasting than the actual mediumship.
And although we are not able to be specific, you have worked at a very high level with multinational corporations.
Absolutely, and in recent years, it was a decision I made. Yeah.
Who wanted you for that, what you claim is that ability?
I was termed as a forecaster because, again, in the corporate world, you've got to be very careful. I was working in boardroom level, so you've got to be very careful that you sit and say, this is a psychic. I had to prove to myself for some reason that I had an intelligence linked with the gift. It wasn't just the gift. So to work in boardroom level, I had to also apply natural intelligence, but the forecasting, no doubt, is the gift. That isn't just lucky. And the things I were forecasting were sometimes proved within 15 minutes, which I loved, or a day, or 2 days, whereas with a reading, you would do it and a year later.
You see, that intrigues me, and we cannot for confidentiality reasons, and we might be sitting at home thinking, oh, yeah, right. Yeah. But multinationals had such faith and a track record in what you say you did for them psychically that there were tangible results that were visible on the bank sheets, in profit levels and success. Yeah. You see, I would imagine if a business believed that they're not coming in here now, picking you out of this chair and carrying you out.
But the thing is, I am turning down offers without sounding arrogant every day. Because
what, from big companies?
Oh yes, from people linked, within the big company. When I say linked, either they own the companies or they're part of the company at a level that they make that decision. But you don't, I'm, again, very, very discreet. You don't go around saying to people, guess what I was offered yesterday, or guess who approached me yesterday, because that to me is like gossip. It becomes general gossip then, and it's not fair to the people that approach me, because they're doing it either through a recommendation of someone else or they've worked with me before. But money is not everything, and my reasons for working in the corporate world were at that time quite personal. I'd had a very serious health issue where I nearly died.
You nearly died, didn't you?
Yeah, I did in 2004, and it was dreadful, and even now I feel strange about it. So I stepped down from the readings because I felt that I needed some time to be me again, and I always said I wouldn't do readings just for money. Although I charged, it wouldn't be just for money. Yeah. And it felt the right thing to do. But the corporate world's been very interesting indeed.
Well, if Mr. Branson appears at the door, I'll know why. All right, Julie Cryer is here. She is from West Yorkshire. She's got an extraordinary story. She says she has this gift. She says she's a psychic medium. We're going to play your music and tell your story before 3 o'clock this afternoon. So let's start with the OJs, and I love music. Why did you want this?
Well, Northern Soul, it's a way of life, which is a say on the Northern Soul scene. This to me is the moment you hear it, the moment the words say what they do. I love music. It's just brilliant.
The psychic medium, that's what she says. Julie Cryer is here one-on-one this afternoon. And also, I'm going to say, you are a Northern Soul queen.
Massive. I just adore. I can't even say enough about it. I am mad about the music. The people that are on the scene generally were just, like a total big, friendship gang. It's wonderful. Every venue you go to, there's always someone there that you know. There's people from all over the country. We go to weekenders, nighters. It's just amazing.
Now, your husband is a top DJ in this field.
Well, he works on he's a DJ on the scene and in the league of people consider some of the top DJs, but he's doing very well. He's a good DJ, good dance floor man.
I mean, the music's fantastic. I don't think people realise often that there is a whole culture and friendship and network and separateness and different divisions of Northern Soul, but how huge it is. And that on average, the person who goes on and enjoys this sort of music, are over 40. It's fair to say that. It's not an older thing, but it is, isn't it?
No, because a lot of us started on the scene back in the very early 70s, and obviously now we're probably middle 50s and above. There are people entering the scene that are younger. There are people that entered the scene late 80s, but I think it's just got a classlessness to it, which is wonderful. Nobody knows often what people do for a living. You can have a doctor next to you, a builder, It's very, very friendly. It's about the dance, about the music, and the passion. Again, the word passion has to be with Northern Soul, because people have a passion to travel to the venues, be there.
And when you are there and you're dancing and you're enjoying it, a lot of people won't have a clue.
No idea. I remember many years ago attending a very big Northern Soul venue many years ago, and I'd just done the Judy and Richard show, and it was very exciting for me. And a guy came up and said, I've just seen you on TV. I repair TVs and your face come up. He said, I nearly fell over. The woman in the house had to give me smelling salts. So in a nice way, the scenes allowed me to be very private away from my other work. I don't really do readings for anyone on the scene, never did do, because again, it's a separate...
But they don't really know. They just know you as Julie.
They know, I mean, some probably more now than others know about me being psychic, but it's not really questioned. It isn't the reason that they're at the venue anyway, and very rarely do I discuss it, in any way, which is lovely for me.
So if I asked you on a everyday basis with this so-called gift, what... I mean, are you hearing stuff or seeing stuff?
No, it's everything. It's a combination, Liz. I actually see spirit, so that for me is... The only way I'd want to work as a medium is to be able to see who I'm talking to, because that would be like getting a voice in your ear, clairaudience, which I think can be a bit misconstrued. Because I see them, I can giggle with them, I can tease them and say things and be a bit cheeky and, it helps me to describe people if I've done readings as well, which is part of the proof. And also, being the way I am, I don't know anything else. I really don't know anything else.
Were you born like this?
Yeah. I mean, my parents always said from around the age of 18 months, 2-year-old, I was showing some signs of some very unusual things that for them...
Like what?
Talking about things and pointing to things and being just... My mum always said I'd been here before. I just seemed like I'd been here before. Then when I was about 4-year-old, I was adamant that my grandma used to come and visit me. And the way I described her, because she died when I was 6 months old, I used to say she had auburn hair. Well, apparently she had red hair, but wouldn't hear of it. And the way I described her and the things I said, my mum and dad became convinced in a way that I wasn't making all that up.
Mm. Did they have any?
No, not at all.
So there were you going,
no.
Oh.
The only thing I would say about my dad, and the music will reflect that later, my dad was seen as a gifted singer and was took out of the pit village at a very young man to be trained as a tenor and had a voice like Andrea Bocelli, which was amazing. Because he had a gift as a singer, he recognised that gifts existed in everyday, normal people and people that you wouldn't ever imagine it would happen to.
Ordinary people.
Yeah, just every day, pit village, this amazing voice. My dad gets chosen to be trained by Durham Cathedral choir master and went on to sing and win competitions and be seen as one of the greatest tenors in his area, So he recognised a gift and accepted that and did the same with me.
So with your parents, they never thought that you needed help?
Early days, yeah. I mean, my mum got very concerned. We're talking of very early 60s and got very concerned about me being took away, sectioned, put into some kind of
you were behaving
institution.
in a really bizarre way.
Yeah, I mean, I used to get where I couldn't sleep on a night and I used to be very nervous, obviously, very young, seeing things. My mum was always concerned about the adverse effect of someone coming in and saying, she's schizophrenic, she's mentally ill. These were the days where a lot of things weren't understood. And there was nothing about mediums written. There was no TV programmes on it, no radio, nothing.
I mean, they could have had you as highly imaginative.
Absolutely. I think at school they did. I think that's why I failed at school, because they thought I was just, they thought I used to listen outside the door at the staff room. I used to get accused of listening to things because I would mention something that they'd discussed in staff rooms and I'd blurt it out. I used to get into trouble. But I think it's just, I didn't know anything else. That's all I can say. And I felt there must be lots of people around like me, but, I'll find them one day. I never did. And I just felt the best thing was to blend in. If I blended in with everybody.
So you learnt to hide it?
I learnt to blend in and I learnt to play the game and be normal, behave normal.
So now and then, the vision's the ability you say that you've got.
Yeah.
It's there all the time. Have you learned how to channel that?
Oh, yeah.
Off?
I mean, the thing I decided not to do was never approach anyone. I don't go up to people and say things and grab hold of people and say, I must give you a message. I felt that was an intrusion on their privacy. And also, I'm not there to convert anybody. It was about people coming to me because of their wish to have that support. And then afterwards, being able to say to somebody and themselves, it's true. It's true. So that's all I was concerned about.
And those that you've helped, and there have been many, I mean, do they look upon you as a fairy godmother? Did they say...
I've had some wonderful... I mean, I've had some wonderful compliments. I mean, I've been called fairy godmother, guardian angel, kind, some wonderful compliments. I have done thousands of readings, by the way. I think the level of... I was working as a medium for many years, every day of the week, many readings a day. And it was, it was interesting to find all the different ways people saw me.
Have people said to you, you're just a fraud?
Oh, I've had all sorts.
You're
I've had some
making it up.
I have had some very cruel things said, and I understand that, and I have to accept that. But I don't think it's nice to be cruel to anybody about anything. I think it's the way. If somebody says to me, "I'm sorry, I don't believe in what you do," I'm fine. If somebody says you're a fake, you're a liar, then that's like being accused of stealing or.
But you can't prove you're not, can you? Even
Well,
though that's hurtful.
the only way I would say I can prove is I've done too many people readings that there was too many people having readings saying it's true. If it had been the opposite, where people left the room and said, "What a waste of time," which many people do say following a reading, "What a waste of time," or "Well, that was okay, but." But the reaction I got was so positive, and the way people recommended me throughout the system of, nationally, internationally. Even when I wrote for Heat magazine, I mean, that was proof, because I actually predicted forecast things in Heat magazine several weeks before it went out on air. I did Big Brother 2. And I did the whole of Big Brother 2 on who
You knew what
would
would happen?
Yeah, I forecast who would win and who would go out first, weeks before.
There might be people listening who dubious about what you're saying. And also, the thing that always worries me with anyone who claims the abilities that you do is that the bereaved, those who are hurting, those who have lost, are really vulnerable.
Yeah.
And people are desperate often if they've lost someone they love, and you know what that's like.
Absolutely, yeah.
And my concern is people believe what they want, that somehow they're exploited, somehow that's a wicked thing to do. But the thing is, Liz,
if I'd gone for a reading myself and not had the gift, the one thing I would have commanded is that someone knew how my dad died. Not just, I feel a chest complaint or something, because he had lung cancer anyway, but he didn't die of lung cancer. There's certain things about my dad, my mum, my family, my life that I'd expect someone to know. If they don't know that, then they are not doing a reading. And if my dad was talking to me, then it would feel like my dad. And that's the proof at the end of the day. So if you go and you're vulnerable, you become naive and almost, the word stupid is not very kind to say, if you accept things that are not true. There's no reason, just because you've lost somebody, to accept things that are not true.
Julie Cryer is here. We're one-on-one. Psychic medium, she says. It's about her gift, talking about her story. Let's just hear a bit of music before we check the rows and carry on. This is Dean Parrish, I'm on my way. Yes. Why did you want this?
Because it's an anthem on the soul scene, and it's many years ago. It was played as we left the night, as we left the venues, and sometimes as you were going to them, because you were on your way there, you're on your way home. It's just a record that captivates the scene generally, I think.
I love that. I don't know a lot about Northern Soul.
No.
I've been to a couple of gigs, loved it, but there is something, it just lifts your spirit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it just lifts you, and the dance floor lifts you, because there's so many people dance to it compared to a lot of other venues. It's just, you can't explain until you're on the dance floor how the music goes up through your soul, through your body, through your soul.
Doesn't
and I think the wonderful thing is, people interpret the dance to how they want. There's no one laughs at the way you dance. You don't feel awkward like you would in maybe a very current nightclub. And everybody's doing their own thing, lost in music. It's wonderful.
And I've seen huge guys who, I don't know what they do for a living, but they could drive a truck, they could do, who dance like
just
you
amazing.
would not believe.
Like almost if they went on TV and entered a dance competition, they'd sweep the board with everything. But it's just got, the soul is captivated by it. It goes right through you, and it remains with you, I think, for quite a long time. When you leave at the venue, it's still there.
Yeah, that feeling of joy.
Yeah.
Your one-on-one, Julie Cryer is here. She says she's a psychic medium. She's given thousands of readings along the way. She was born with a gift that they almost, not quite, but chucked her out of school.
Yeah.
But you learn how to hide it, you say, and get round it.
Mm.
And you got married fairly early in 1984. You had a good job. I
was a civil servant. I did some very good work in the civil service, got to do quite a lot of different aspects of the civil service. But felt I was there to be normal. I felt that part of being normal, staying normal, and always felt like I should be somewhere else. And I wanted to work for myself. And I was also doing readings while doing the civil service, which was a bit of a conflict at certain times. And my bosses eventually said very kindly, we think you should leave because you're getting so well known. We can't put you on the counter anymore. We can't send you out to visit anybody.
So were you a bit like, where was this? Where were you?
I was working originally in Leeds and Castleford, and I used to do a visiting job. So
everybody knew that Julie in there.
Yeah,
a bit.
It all got a bit awkward because they were featuring in the local papers in those days, and then obviously someone would come on the counter and go, "I read about you." So, but I think the readings were taking over, as in there were becoming so many requests. I was 2 years in advance 2 and 3 years in advance with requests for readings. This was in the early 80s, and because I was a young medium, it was quite phenomenal because many people in those days were very elderly that was doing the work. They were in their late 60s, 70s, and I seemed to be this new kid on the block that nobody could quite know what to do with.
Well, I don't know how being a psychic goes down in Castleford, but it seemed to have served you all right. Julie Cryer is here, and we're talking about what she defines as a gift. Been doing readings, predicting the future, talking to people who need help for a long time. And you almost gave it up. Well, you did for a while.
Yeah, I did.
You were very ill.
Yeah, definitely.
You have done amazing things in what we'll define as the corporate world, helping to predict what might happen.
Yeah.
I wish I could, but I can't say with whom.
Yeah.
And I can't say a great deal else. But you say, still in demand daily for that?
Yeah, I get quite a lot of requests, because of the work I've already done. The results were quite astounding, really. And I think that, forecasting in the corporate world is very exciting, by the way, and it's very interesting because...
Very lucrative, I would have thought, if you get it
definitely,
right.
Yeah. Forgot about that bit. Yeah. No, it is, but it's just, they pay you on a consultancy level then, rather than a reading, which you've got to, remain a certain amount.
They'd have burnt you at the stake, don't you? During the 16th century.
They'd have burnt me at the stake.
They would.
There's no doubt about it, they would have done. I'd have been the court jester for a while, then they would have burnt me at the stake. But I think that in the corporate world, the difference is that the challenge was very much for me then. It was about me proving to me what I could do, not other people. The joy was when it came true, obviously, again on a regular basis, but I think it was the speed in which I had to forecast, which I loved.
Is it at times difficult? Because if people believe in you and come to you, whether they pay for it or they don't, and that's varied throughout your career, that I would imagine someone who, if the light bulb goes off for them, if they believe in you, Julie, that they'll never be away. They're always... That's
up to me, though, to,
Hello?
The one thing I did do, and this was in the days of doing readings for everyday folk, I wouldn't let anybody come back to me for a year, 6 months if there was a reason. But I used to say to people, do not come back for a year to 2 years. We've said everything that's needed to be said. I never allowed people to become addicted to me, or the readings, not me.
Must be tempting, though.
Oh, it is. I mean, I did have people that wanted to see me every other week, and particularly sometimes on a counselling level, bereavement counselling, which I wasn't trained at. So I used to say, no, that's a different area. But
did they ring you up and say, should I move?
Oh, yeah, I used to get, I just want a chat. The favourite line was, can we just have a chat? Can we meet for coffee? And I used to say, but I talk for a living. Or over a coffee, they'd ask me things like moving, the usual things. My decision was whether I did that with the person or not, depending on how I felt that they were taking me for granted or not.
Yeah.
But you've got to remember, I do like doing, I've enjoyed giving this away as well. It's been a release. And it suits me to give it away. It suits me to work on it and use it. It's very good.
I suppose, did it take you a while to get the balance right, though, between using it the way you thought?
Yeah.
Between not allowing that to control your life, because you do have a normal life, let's say that, and you're a proud mum.
Very much,
happily married woman with Northern Soul thrown in at every corner.
Yeah.
But did it take you a while to work it out, get the balance right then?
In a way, yes, but I must say that I've been very supported by my family. My husband and my son have been incredible, and my son has never known anything but me working as a medium.
Has he got this gift?
Not at all.
Are you glad?
Yes. The pact was, when I was having a baby, that there was no way I was going to have a child with a gift. A gift of what I had, nothing else, obviously. He's been amazing. He's tolerated a lot as well in the earlier years. He doesn't remember a lot, which is a shame, because he has been around some very famous people. And he'll say, oh, Mum, I don't remember that. Why? What? And he said recently, he'd quite like me to do it again, because he'd like to be able to be aware of it and see what I'm able to do with other people. But they have been, my husband and my son have been my lifeline in all of this, and
I
so
suppose
supportive.
in this culture that we have, that to get the celebrity endorsement, I don't mean necessarily in profile, but that might be important.
It works, unfortunately. It's the time that I went on the Judy and Richard show and started being known for doing, like I did Dale Winton as well, doing different people and Coronation Street, EastEnders. It upped my status and people believing in me no end. Unfortunately, it worked. It's one of the things that seems to have the clout in the work that you do.
Does that make you sad or not?
Not sad, amused. Amused. It's not sad, but it just interests you that I've met some fantastic people from villages and surrounding areas in Yorkshire and beyond, But because I've done a famous person, it's like, oh, yeah, she's amazing. She did so-and-so reading. And unfortunately with the celebrities, sometimes you can't even say who you've done because it's too private.
I bet they like to rely on you. Can I just have a chat about that part, please, Julie?
Acting contracts, yes.
Yeah, and all of that. All right, we're one-on-one with Julie Cryer.
Yeah.
Now, Tinshy Strider, if I could say it.
Yeah.
And number one, why this?
This is for Davey, my son, who I absolutely adore. And I think he knows that. Everybody knows that. And it just, N-Dubs, Dappy, we're mad about them, Davey is. And the moment I hear the record, it's Davey. We played it at his 18th and I danced with him to it. And it sums him up totally. He's my number one.
That's for your boy,
It
Davey.
certainly is, yeah.
So, this gift, can you look at your son and know what's going to happen? Can you look at your husband and know?
But yeah, definitely. I mean, with Richard, I actually said back in his 30s that he would end up on the soul scene in his 50s, which sounded ridiculous, doing the DJing that he's doing today to the big crowds and things. And he looked as if to say, first of all, I can't wait that long. Secondly, you're mad. So I do it for my family. But when I do it for my family, it's done much more subtle and general everyday conversations. When it finally comes true, obviously, we just smile at each other. I mean, they're just used to me so much.
Do you do it for yourself?
Yes, very much so.
So you know?
Absolutely.
I don't know if I'd like that.
I think it's something... The most significant time in my life, Liz, when I nearly died...
What happened there?
I had a diseased gallbladder, which is much more serious than general gallbladder problems. There's pancreatitis can set in, blood poisoning, septicemia, And I was in hospital and they had me on morphine and they actually said, the surgeon said, Mrs. Cryer, you're going to die if we operate, you're going to die if we don't. Because it was about to burst, which means it would have killed me on the operating table. And my dad, who has long gone, sat at the side of me and just said, operate. I'm going to show you Thursday of next week and you're still alive. So I said it, in this morphine kind of state, operate. They did, and the Thursday I was still alive and I was there, but they nearly lost me on the table. It took about 4 hours to do an hour and a half surgery. And without my dad, I was going to say no.
So this was your dad in spirit, you said?
Yeah, because they did say either or. And I said to my husband, I don't want to die on an operating table. I want to die with you. It's going to make me cry. I want to die with you in a bed. I want to lay there and hold your hand and I want to say goodbye. And my dad just said, no, sorry, Liz.
It's okay.
You're going to be here. So I put all my faith in him, all my trust in him. And I said, if everything I do is as true as it is, I'll see you Thursday, meaning this side, not that side. And I woke up and they nearly lost me. The surgeon said, you've been very lucky. We had to do everything to save you. We got you through. Sorry about that, by the way.
No, everyone cries in
funny
here, Julie.
memory.
No, it's
strange memory.
Be. But you're not frightened of dying, are you? Because if we believe what you say and all of that, then it would indicate that there's something of other side.
No, I wasn't frightened of dying because when they said that I was going to die, I was very relaxed about it and said to Rick, I want to be here. I want you round the bed. I want to hold your hand. I want you with me. Give me as much morphine as you can. I'll be fine. But no, I wasn't frightened of dying. I think dying is about leaving the people you love behind and worrying about them. I felt this overwhelming concern about them without me and how they would cope and what they would do. But I knew I'd be back. Whatever it took, I would be back to be with them and see them. But
do you know where we go then?
From what I see, it's almost like we're still in this world. We're still here. We're not up in the sky. We're not, heaven's, I think, something that people have talked about for many, many years and sounds beautiful. But I think heaven is within this world still. Unfortunately, reality brings a lot of things that don't reflect heaven. The troubles we have in this world, the bad times, the difficulties.
Do you have a faith?
I would say the faith is the fact that I believe that we should look after each other, we should be there for each other, we should think about others, be generous in all aspects of life if possible, and do anything we can to make someone else's life better.
But no subscribed religious faith?
No, I wouldn't say so. I think it would be wrong. I was brought up a Christian. I'm not saying I'm still not a Christian, but I believe it's more about being there for people, and your generosity and your faith should be within your heart to give to other people and care about people. I think that would be a lovely faith to follow.
Julie Cryer's here. She says she's a psychic medium and she's lived with this for all of her life. She grew up and worked here in Leeds and in Castleford, where she was a bit of a minor celeb and probably still is, so I know you live just outside the area now. And you'd done these readings for years. You nearly died. You were very ill.
Yeah.
And for a while, you wouldn't do anything, would you?
No, I wouldn't do anything at all. I needed to recover because I think if you nearly die, it's a funny experience for anybody. Anybody that's gone through it says afterwards it's quite frightening in that.
Did you go towards the light, or don't you remember?
Oh, yeah. No, definitely.
Oh, really?
No, I was definitely...
I was being funny.
Richard,
no, really?
No, my husband watched it. I started to go completely. All the pain went. I was on a table in casualty and the pain definitely was going, and it was intense pain with a gallbladder. Terrible. And I was like almost like... humming. Yeah, I could feel this wonderful, the pain's going. And I really was moving somewhere, and I could hear my dad's voice very clearly, because he used to call me Bonnie Lass, being from Durham, and he was like, come on, Bonnie Lass, you'll be fine. And then I heard Richard's voice, and he was shaking me, and Richard watched all this, and he said afterwards he was convinced that I was dying at that moment. Everything went, my colour went, my eyes went. He said everything, the life went out of me, he said, for about, I think it was 30 seconds. And then I seemed to be back.
And then after any major trauma like that, people do reassess their lives, and you certainly did with yours, didn't you?
I think I needed then to spend time with my family and be whatever they needed me to be, was a wife, a mother, to have time socially. Because I was on the phone all the time. I was very much committed to what I did as a medium, and if someone rang me, I didn't say, get off the phone. It's like, go on then. I could spend an hour on the phone, walking out of restaurants, constantly talking about my work with people and trying to counsel them. And I needed time off. And I felt then when I had the time off that I quite liked being normal. Because everywhere I went, people go, it's that psychic, it's the medium, not Julie. And I think I needed to be a Julie for a while, which I became.
If you saw something bad in someone's reading, I can only take your word for it. You wouldn't tell them, would you?
No, not at all. No. I mean, fortunately, I tended to be down the route of the things that were positive and would help them. If I ever saw anything negative, then I wouldn't say it, because you're not there to plant seeds and destroy anyone's life.
What if you met someone who was bad? And there are many different ways we can define bad.
Yeah, understandably,
can't we?
Yeah. I consider bad selfish, totally selfish, self-obsessed. Disinterested in anyone but themselves, and out for anything that is good for them and no one else. So you meet quite a few people like that, and I think I become for them a slight unnerving. I've noticed people are quite unnerved by me sometimes if they're that kind of person. They don't really know how to look at me in the eye.
All right, let's hear Mike and Bolton now. A little bit of New York, New York. Why did you want this?
This, to me, is Away from Northern Soul, but it's a record that when you hear it, it almost makes you feel like I can do anything in life. You want to kind of get your glad rags on, walk out there. If someone's upset you, it's like saying, I don't care. And it's a bit razzle-dazzle, isn't it? It's just that kind of record, I think.
Jazz hands.
Brilliant.
All the way. Michael Bolton's version of New York, New York. Julie Cryer is here. She's from West Yorkshire. She says she's got an extraordinary gift, that she's a psychic medium. She can shape, she says, just by talking to someone.
Yep, yeah.
What's going to happen to them, and is in touch with the spirit world. So now you're back reading. Mm-hmm. You've been doing this for a while. You've had a celebrity profile. You've done television, radio. You deal with ordinary readings. Mm-hmm. You've given it up. You've picked it up. What is it you want now then?
I think I want to kind of, now I feel ready to do it again. I want to kind of recognise the level in which I'm able to do the readings. Because when I did it before, it was celebrated, obviously. But it felt often that it was celebrated sometimes on a whirlwind feeling. This time I want people to sit back and draw breath and see what I'm capable of, and I'm going to show them what I'm capable of.
Is it easy to be exploited? I don't just mean by people who believe in you.
Yeah, I'm not, no, because I'm too strong a figure.
Are you?
Yeah. Oh, Liz, there's probably no one stronger than I am when it comes to being able to say no or that's wrong, recognise things. I'm a very strong person. From upbringing, not to do with the gift, totally from upbringing.
We could look at other people who claim to have a gift similar to yours, who have got television shows and are filling out arenas and all of that, and doing it in the celebrity arena and all. You know, and to me, it's a bit like watching a freak show.
It could be, and I think that could be their desire. When I got offered the work with the BBC, and I did sit with head of BBC daytime at the time, and she was delightful, and I proved to her what I could do, and she cried. But then she told me what they wanted me to do, which has obviously come out in later shows, and I just said no to everything. And their words were, "You're not hungry enough for TV." And I said, "You're right."
What are you hungry for?
I'm hungry to be probably acknowledge that it is a gift. And I have been told it before by many, many people. I want it to be recognised exactly what it is. It's a special gift. It's not just a gift.
Academic parapsychologists at least 2 universities here.
Yes.
And in the United States, never mind what the CIA have done along the way. I think they'd love you. But would probably love to spend time testing
I've had them asked. I've done readings for scientists from Canada through recommendations when they've come over to visit friends. I've done readings for top medical people, top senior police, private readings, and they've actually said, we should do something, and I just say no. I don't want to test it. The test is the individuals that I do, which in abundance. This is not just one person. This could be hundreds and hundreds of people within a space of a year. The test is that they go away happy. They go away feeling like whatever I did something. It touched them, touched their soul.
Get that?
I know. And that to me is what I'm about. I could sit in any place and be tested, but I know that already. They don't have to tell me what I've got. I know already what I've got.
Where does it come from? Have you ever thought...
No idea. I mean, I would...
Are you a bit of a genetic kink or what?
Do you know, this sounds crazy and this might make me sound a bit mad today. I think it comes from the future because, and I said this many years ago.
Now that does sound mad.
I think I am something that maybe in another 150 years' time may be quite natural.
What, there's a sense in your brain,
yeah,
in your
there's something
soul.
in my brain. There's an area of my brain that I use and my ability to communicate the way I can through a certain area of my brain that at this moment is not being tapped into or touched.
And if that gift stopped for any reason, like a tap being turned off, would Julie be happy?
Yes. I've got my northern soul, I've got my family, I've got my friends, I've got a life, which is what I carved out. I could have had a life of just being a very, very famous medium and very isolating, travelling the world, filling the auditoriums, seeing the presidents, people like that. No, I've got a life, and that's what I wanted.
And do you know what the lottery numbers are Saturday?
I'll tell you, Liz, when this music...
Julie Cryer. Some know her as a fairy godmother. Thank you for being one-on-one.
And thank you for having me today.
You're
it's been
very
delightful.
welcome.
Thank you.
Final choice of music is Junior Walker, Take Me Girl, I'm Ready. Why this?
This is for 2 friends of mine, Mick and Michelle France, who come to venues very often. And Mick's just one of the funniest men on the scene, one of the best dancers on the scene. Michelle, his wife, is just adorable. And people like them sum up the scene. And this is often played at our venue, and it just packs the dance floor.